The cube fell in love with the circle. But the other didn't like him. In the circle's mind, she was after a ball as smooth as herself. After learning the goddess's preference, Cube first retreated silently. He took out his savings and chose to have plastic surgery. Enduring the pain, he peeled off his corners layer by layer. Finally, he was transformed into an identical round shape. He couldn't wait to find his crush. But he realized that the round shape had already preferred the robust and angular polygon. Seeing this scene, the square had to undergo plastic surgery again. In order to catch up with the circle, he remodeled his body in strange shapes. But when the cube found the circle with his new look, he fell in love with the combination of squares and triangles. In the face of such difficulties, Cube didn't back down. Instead, she made herself even more special. But then he came back and found that the circle liked something else. So the cube cut itself into a triangular prism. No matter how painful the plastic surgery process is, the cube was willing to become what the circle liked. But he didn't realize, every time he transformed, he became smaller and smaller. Eventually he became less than half the size of a circle. At that moment, the circle suddenly said it liked squares. So the cube didn't hesitate to trim the corners. He thought he would be accepted by the circle this time. But because he was so small, the circle went right over him and fell in love with another square. And the new square didn't like the circle. So the square watched as his goddess went after someone else. And now he regrets it. He was a square in the beginning, but the circle didn't accept him. It turns out that he was not destined to be liked by the other guy from the beginning. Because the square was too deep and kept chasing after the prototype. If he liked triangles, the squares became triangles. If he likes a diamond square, he becomes a diamond. But in fact, the circle just didn't like the square himself. Even though Cube tries his best, he only loses himself in the process. He becomes more and more humble, and the circle's impression of the cube gets worse and worse. In the end, the cube is left lying on the ground in a pile of crumbs, weak and useless. This polar bear tried to jump off a cliff, because his baby fell on the ice. The polar bear comes to the cub. Mother and cub are reunited, but they're in a desperate situation. When the iceberg next to them collapses, a huge wave washes them away. When they woke up the next day, the ice floats them into the forest. The mother decided to take her cubs, and settle down here. The cubs were attracted to a red ant. The next moment, a little grizzly bear appeared. The cubs back away in fear. The mama bear suddenly arrives. The cub falls to the ground in fear. The polar bears head for the forest. They strayed into the grizzly's territory. The grizzly bears were not happy to see them. The next day the mother woke up without her cubs. On the other side, the cubs found a fish on a stake. When the mother heard the cubs screaming, she ran to them. The cubs were cornered and had nowhere to run. The mama bear came and took the cubs away. At that moment, the mama bear saw her own kind outside the wire netting. They ran as fast as they could to the beach. Together they entered the group. The grizzly bears prepared an iron boat for them. The polar bears were transported to another place of extreme cold.